There's a kind of heartbreak you never truly prepare for. It's not the sting of being lied to. It's not the sharp pain of finding out they loved someone else. It's something quieter, but far more devastating. It's the kind of heartbreak that happens when you stripped yourself bare, emotionally naked, and they still walked away. You didn't give them the polite surface version of yourself. You didn't give them the version that smiles when it's hurting or says, "I'm fine," when your heart is breaking. You gave them the real you, the raw, trembling, unfiltered you that you usually hide from the world. You gave them the thoughts you've never spoken aloud, the fears that keep you up at night, the memories that shaped you in ways you can't always explain. And you gave them those parts because for once you believed it was safe to. Do you remember that moment? That first time you told them something you thought you'd take to your grave? How your chest felt tight, almost suffocating, as the words left your mouth? How your mind was screaming, "What if they judge me? What if they leave? What if I've said too much?" And then they didn't leave. They didn't judge. Instead, they gave you a look that said, "It's okay. I'm here. You can trust me." And so you went deeper, one layer at a time. You told them about the night you cried yourself to sleep at 16, wondering why no one noticed. You told them about the relationship that broke you in ways you still haven't fully healed from. You told them about that moment in your childhood when you learned that love can hurt. And they listened. They nodded. They even told you they understood. That was all it took for you to believe they were different. Because you've learned the hard way that not everyone can handle the full truth of who you are. Some people only want the happy parts. Some only want the strong parts. And when they see the fragile parts, the messy parts, they get uncomfortable. They pull away. But this time, you thought you'd found someone who could handle all of it. Someone who wouldn't just accept your truth, but would cherish it. Someone who would stay. What you didn't realize is that being fully seen isn't just a gift, it's a risk. Because when you hand someone your unfiltered self, you're not just telling them stories, you're giving them pieces of your soul, pieces that can't be taken back, pieces that depend on their care. And that's the danger. The same closeness that makes love beautiful is the same closeness that can make heartbreak unbearable. When they left, it didn't feel like losing just another person. It felt like they walked away carrying the most sacred parts of you, the parts you'd spent years protecting. They didn't just leave your life, they left holding pieces of your heart. And they didn't even leave with a storm. There wasn't a screaming match or some explosive betrayal. It was quieter than that, more confusing than that. They just drifted, a little less text here, a little more silence there, until one day you realized they weren't really showing up anymore. And then they were gone. No explanation could undo the damage. No closure could make you feel less exposed, because you were still standing there emotionally uncovered, holding the echo of everything you'd shared with them. And now you're left wondering, was I too much? Did I push them away? Should I have kept more to myself? And then comes the most dangerous thought of all. Maybe I should never let anyone that close again. Because that's what this kind of heartbreak does to you. It's not just about losing someone, it's about losing trust in your own openness. It teaches you to guard your heart, not just from others but from yourself. It whispers, don't be that vulnerable again, don't risk that much, don't show that much of you to anyone. And yet, deep down, you know something. If you've been able to give yourself so openly, it means you have a capacity for love and connection that most people never reach. It means you've touched something real, even if the person you gave it to couldn't hold on to it. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong. Because do you know how much courage it takes to show someone the parts of you you've spent years hiding? Do you know how rare it is to hand someone your fears, your scars, your unpolished truth without any guarantee they'll stay? That is bravery. And bravery doesn't stop being bravery just because someone else didn't honor it. Yes, it hurts in a way you can't fully explain. Yes, it's going to take time before you even want to be that open again. But your openness is not the problem. The problem was that they didn't have the depth to meet you where you were. One day you'll give that same openness to someone else, and they'll see it for what it is, a gift, a sacred trust, something worth protecting. And when that happens, you'll realize that the real tragedy wasn't that you showed too much of yourself. The real tragedy would have been if you'd let this pain convince you to never show yourself again. You see, when someone leaves after you've been that open with them, the pain isn't just about loss, it's about exposure. It's the lingering feeling that they've walked away with an understanding of you that no one else has. Like they're holding a map of your most private places, even though they're no longer welcome in your life. Most heartbreak hurts because it's about absence, but this hurts because it's about presence. Their presence in your most intimate truths, and then their absence right after. Think about it. If someone breaks your heart without ever really knowing you, it's painful, but it's different. You can tell yourself, they didn't see the real me anyway. There's still some distance, some protection in that. But when they've seen the real you, when they've been inside your mind, heard your late-night confessions, and felt your soul tremble in their hands, there's no distance left, no safe zone to retreat to. They were already inside the walls you'd spent years building, and they still walked out. That's why it feels like a kind of betrayal, even if they never lied. It's betrayal of the unspoken agreement that says, if I show you the parts of me I keep hidden from the world, you don't get to leave careless. And here's the part no one really talks about. This kind of heartbreak rewires your brain. When you're deeply vulnerable with someone and they respond with love, acceptance, or interest, your brain links them to safety. It's not just an emotional reaction, it's chemical. Your nervous system relaxes around them, your guard drops. You stop scanning for danger, because your body believes this person is safe. So when that person leaves, it's not just a breakup, it's a shock to your entire system. Your brain goes from I'm safe here to I can't trust safety at all. And that shift leaves you anxious, hyper-aware, and hesitant in future relationships. That's why you might feel jumpy now, even with people who haven't done anything to hurt you. It's why you find yourself pulling back when someone tries to get close. Because the last time you let someone in, they didn't just leave, they left from the closest possible place. And the human mind is wired to avoid repeating pain. It will tell you don't be that open again. Don't tell them too much. Don't give them a chance to leave from that close again. It's not weakness, it's survival. Your brain is trying to protect you, but in doing so it risks protecting you from the very thing you need to heal. Up was for nothing. And that's the trick your pain plays on you. It tries to convince you that this vulnerability was a mistake, when in reality it was proof of your courage. Here's something I need you to hear. When someone can't stay after seeing the real you, it doesn't mean the real you is unlovable. It means they weren't equipped to love you at that depth. It means your openness asked for a level of emotional maturity they couldn't meet. And yes, that's still heartbreaking, but it's not your failure. Think about it like this. If you hand someone a priceless piece of art and they drop it because they can't handle its weight, that doesn't make the art worthless. It just means they weren't prepared to hold it. You are not too much. You are not too complicated. You are exactly as deep as you're meant to be. And that depth will be the most beautiful thing in the world to the right person. For now, it's okay to feel this pain fully. It's okay to grieve, to replay conversations, to wonder why. But I also want you to see this. The very fact that you were capable of opening up like that means you're capable of love at a level that's rare. That's not something to bury, that's something to protect until it's met with the same depth in return. You've been through something that can change a person. The kind of heartbreak that doesn't just leave you sad, it leaves you questioning yourself, questioning whether your openness was a mistake, questioning whether you can ever let someone that close again without risking being shattered. And I want you to know something before we go further. The fact that you are even here, listening, means you haven't given up on connection. It means that despite everything, there's still a part of you that wants to believe in love, trust, and intimacy. That part of you is worth protecting, but not by hiding it away. Because here's the truth, pain can make you wise, but it can also make you small. It can teach you valuable lessons, but it can also trick you into living behind walls so thick that no one can reach you. And while those walls might keep you safe from being hurt again, they'll also keep you from ever feeling deeply alive again. So let's talk about how to keep your depth without letting this pain harden you. You start thinking, if they couldn't stay, there must be something wrong with me. If they saw all of me and still left, maybe all of me isn't worth staying for. But here's the thing, people leave for reasons that have nothing to do with your value. They leave because they can't handle the intimacy they thought they wanted. They leave because they're not ready to carry the responsibility of truly knowing someone. They leave because your depth asks them to show up in ways they aren't capable of. It's like handing someone a book written in a language they've never learned. They can't read it, so they put it down. That doesn't mean the book is bad, it just means they weren't the right reader. You have to separate your worth from their capacity. The two are not the same. Redefine what trust looks like. Most people think trust means handing someone your entire heart on day one and hoping they'll keep it safe. But trust, real trust, is built. It's earned. It's watching how someone handles the smaller truths before you give them the bigger one. You don't have to go from guarded to wide open in one leap. You can open gradually, layer by layer, and let their actions show you whether they deserve the next layer. It's not about making them work for you. It's about protecting the parts of you that you know are precious. It's about being intentional with your openness, because you are not hard to love, you are just deep to love. And depth takes time to explore. Recognize that your depth is a filter, not a flaw. Think about it, the very thing that scares some people away is the same thing that will draw the right person in. Your ability to be emotionally naked is not a weakness, it's a filter. It weeds out the people who aren't ready for the kind of relationship you need. Yes, that means you might lose people along the way, but those losses are not failures, they're protection. Every person who walks away because they can't handle your depth is making space for someone who can. The wrong people will feel overwhelmed by your openness. The right person will feel honored by it. 4. Turn this pain into power. Right now, it feels like this heartbreak has taken something from you. Your trust, your safety, your sense of belonging. But it can also give you something if you let it. It can give you clarity. Clarity about what kind of love you want and what kind you'll never settle for again. Clarity about who deserves access to you and who doesn't. Clarity about the difference between someone who likes the idea of intimacy and someone who's ready to actually live it. Pain can be a teacher if you refuse to let it be a jailer. And here's how you start learning. You sit with the discomfort instead of running from it. You notice the moments you want to shut down and ask yourself, am I protecting myself or am I hiding from something good? You remind yourself that your vulnerability is not the cause of your pain. The wrong match was. Practice vulnerability in safe spaces. You don't have to jump back into romantic vulnerability right away. Start small, share a personal thought with a trusted friend, open up about something that's been on your mind in a safe, non-romantic relationship. Why? Because vulnerability is like a muscle. If you stop using it completely, it gets weaker. And the weaker it gets, the harder it becomes to use when you really need it. Safe spaces remind you that being seen isn't always followed by abandonment. They retrain your brain to connect openness with safety again. They accepted me like no one else ever will. But here's the truth you might not want to hear. If they truly understood you and valued you, they would have stayed. If they truly accepted you, they wouldn't have walked away. Sometimes we confuse the access someone had to us with the connection we thought we had with them. Just because they were in the room when you were open doesn't mean they knew how to hold that openness. You deserve to take up emotional space. You deserve to speak your truth without apology. You deserve to be loved not in spite of your depth, but because of it. And when you find them, you'll realize that all the times you were too much were just moments you were in the wrong room. This heartbreak might have made you cautious, it might have made you slow down, but it hasn't taken away your capacity to love. It's just waiting for the right place to bloom again. So don't close the door on yourself. Don't let their leaving convince you to hide, because the day you give your openness to someone who's ready for it, you'll see it was never the openness that hurt you. It was giving it to someone who couldn't keep it. You've made it through the hardest part, not just the heartbreak itself, but the wave of doubt it brought with it. The doubt about your worth, the doubt about your ability to trust, the doubt about whether you'll ever be able to love that deeply again without being destroyed. And I need you to hear this: you have survived something that has the power to make people close themselves off for the rest of their lives. But here you are, still breathing, still listening, still carrying the seed of hope. Even if it feels small right now, that matters. That means you haven't given up on connection. And that part of you, the part that still wants to believe, is the part that's going to rebuild your life. Looking back without getting stuck there, it's tempting to live in the past after something like this, to replay every conversation, every moment, every red flag you think you should have noticed. It's almost like your brain is trying to rewrite history so you can fix it. But here's the truth: there is no version of that relationship where your openness was the problem. There is no alternate ending where if you'd just hidden more, they would have stayed and loved you the way you deserve. Because people who can love you at your depth will not require you to dilute yourself to be lovable, and people who can't will eventually drift. Whether you gave them 10% of yourself or 100. Not understanding of them, you may never get that. But understanding of yourself, look back and see your courage. See the moment you decided to open up even knowing there was a risk. See the part of you that believed love was worth being seen for. That's not something to erase, that's something to honor. The turning point from protection to expansion. When you've been hurt this way, your instincts scream for protection. Build higher walls, trust less. Keep your heart locked away where no one can get to it. And yes, there is a time for that. There's a time to heal in solitude, to sit with your own company, to gather the pieces of yourself quietly. But there's also a moment, and you'll know when it comes, where protection turns into limitation, where the walls that kept you safe become the same walls keeping you from feeling alive again. That's the moment you have to choose expansion over contraction. It doesn't mean throwing your heart recklessly at the next person who smiles at you. It means letting your heart believe there is more to life than the hurt you've known. It means giving yourself permission to try again, not because you're sure you won't get hurt, but because you know you can survive it if you do. What this pain has given you. I know it's strange to talk about pain as a gift, but the truth is this experience has given you something most people never have. A depth of self-awareness that only comes from being stripped bare. You now know how much you are capable of giving, how strong you are in the aftermath of loss, how important it is to choose someone who can meet you where you are. You've seen what happens when love is one-sided in its emotional depth. You've seen what happens when someone likes the idea of intimacy more than the reality of. And because you've seen it, you can now avoid it. This is wisdom you can carry into the rest of your life. The truth about the real you. Here's something I want you to sit with for a moment. The real you, the you who is deep, unfiltered, and emotionally honest, is not a liability. That version of you is a rare and extraordinary gift. And the wrong person will always make you feel like it's too much, because your truth exposes their limitations.